I'm going to show you now how to prepare videos for upload to InfoPoint in order to ensure the maximum compatibility with smartphones and tablets. Videos are the type of file that requires the most preparation, and the reason for this is that different types of smartphone will accept different formats of video and have different limitations. These are not limitations of the InfoPoint, it's the limitations of the user population of phones that are out there. Your input video may come in any one of a number of formats, and we see here this one I've already loaded, called Bank Holiday on the Dyke, is in QuickTime movie format. So what we need to do is to run that video through this conversion software and output it in a format that's most suitable for the majority of smartphones. The first thing we need to do is to select the file type. So if I click here, we'll see we have a number of options, some of which may be familiar to you. Now it's very tempting, if you have a specific device, to format a video to play on that device and assume that it will be compatible with others, but it won't. So we're going to ignore these specific devices and we're going to select the format MP4. Now we can see down here that along with MP4 it's selected a video codec and an audio codec, but I actually want to make very specific settings now, so I'm going to click the settings tab here and I'm going to go through these settings and make them specifically what we believe is the most compatible settings, bearing in mind the population of smartphones that are currently out there and what they will play. The first thing to say is I'm going to ignore some of these standard things, because you'll see if I click them they're just changing this bitrate field here, so I don't really care what these settings are. I'm going to set my settings specifically. Starting with the really important one, the encoder-decoder, or codec as it's sometimes called, we need to select H.264. And be careful here, because we've selected MP4, sometimes called MPEG-4 file type, and we have an MPEG-4 option here, but this option is not for the file type, this is for the codec. So the codec we require is the H.264. The next setting, which is also important for quality, is the resolution. Now some software may give you a resolution setting separately from a frame size setting. This software is treating them both together, and I'm choosing 480 by 320. These numbers always have to be divisible by 16 because the codec works in blocks of 16 pixels. If you only have the choice of one number for resolution, then it's 480, and choose P or progressive or SD for standard definition. Don't choose HD or I or interlaced. Okay, so we've chosen 480 by 320. Next we'll pick the frame rate. This we believe is less critical, but 24 frames per second is perfectly adequate. This is for assuming a moving picture, like for example a talking head in an oral history. If your video consists of stills, then you can choose a much lower frame rate. In this case I've got the option of 12, some software will even give you the option of 10, and that's okay because the picture essentially is not moving. But I'm going to pick 24 frames per second. And now for the bit rate, we need a reasonably large bit rate to carry the image, but some phones will refuse too high a bit rate. And in this case we're picking what's the maximum on this list, 1500 kilobits per second. And now we move on to the audio. This is a separate consideration because we have both a picture channel and an audio channel contained in the video. So again we have to choose an encoder, and this time we only have the one option, the AAC encoder. In terms of the channel, if you can, I would choose single channel. This is offering 2 channels, in other words stereo sound, and it's the minimum we can choose, so we'll choose that. Now the sampling rate will be reflected in the quality of the sound, and normally 44,100 Hertz or 44.1 kilohertz is the one to choose. And finally, the bit rate again for the sound. Some phones will only play a maximum of 160 kilobits per second, so we're going to choose the one below that because we don't have 160 here, so we're going to choose 128. And so there are our settings ready for us to accept. A couple of points about this. This frame size will be good for most mobile phones. It may seem a little bit small on tablets, so you may want to use a bigger frame size, such as the 800 by 480 on a tablet. And also the H.264 codec is not supported by the iPhone 3, which prefers the MPEG, but if you select MPEG then it's not compatible with other phones. So these, if you want to pause the video and make a note of them, are the optimum settings that we recommend for the maximum compatibility. So all that remains is for me to click OK to accept those settings, and then click Convert to start the conversion process, and it will then save a file in this directory in the correct format, and I can then use the content management system on my info point to upload that file to the info point. If you get any problem with video conversion, please let us know, because we have the software, we can help you if necessary. Okay, thanks for listening.